EC is short for elimination communication, and so the elimination is the poo and the wee, and the communication is between you and the baby. And well, for me there were two stories really. One is that my mother always said to me, well, you know, I started putting you on the potty when you were 6 months old, and you were dry during the day by a year and you were dry at night by 2 years. And she said, I did that, that's what my mother did as well. So my grandmother was born 100 years ago. So yes, that is what a lot of women were doing at that stage when they had to boil nappies and hang millions of them out and all that sort of thing. But I remember thinking, oh, Mum, what do you know? You know, you've got to wait until the child knows what they're doing, and apparently that's not until they're at least 2. You know, silly mum. But actually I did give it a second thought, and with the wonders of the internet started doing a little bit of reading about it, and was amazed to find out that most of the world don't use nappies. Millions and millions and millions of people don't use nappies, and a lot of what they do is they just know when the baby needs to wee or poo, and they put them in a position where they can go without soiling themselves, basically. So how does that communication work? You can start looking out for signals from birth, if you want to, that the baby's giving out about when they need to go, and they'll be quite subtle signals, but it's the same principle as feeding. You watch for signals if you're not doing a routine. So I think that was the most useful thing I ever heard just before she was born, was that you don't have to wait for baby to cry to know that they're hungry. They will be giving signals that they're hungry, and hers was this. So that was really helpful. As soon as she bit her fist, I'd put her on the breast. With the EC, I had so much else going on when she was little. I certainly wasn't prepared to start and do it wholeheartedly from when she was born. In fact, I probably didn't start reading about it until she was a couple of months old. And I read a fantastic book that's called Diaper Free. Something like The Gentle Wisdom of Natural Infant Hygiene. And that really inspired me, because there were lots of stories in there about babies who go nappy free completely from birth, never wear a nappy. And the way we did it was we started at about 3 months. Obviously then she couldn't even sit up, and what we would do is hold her in a position, so hold her kind of sitting up under her thighs over the sink or over a bowl, and we'd give her a cueing sound, so we would go psst, and just see if she wanted to go. So part of it was timing as well. Like my mother did say to me, put you on the potty when you'd had a feed, when you'd had a meal at that stage, as soon as you woke up from a sleep. And in the book that I read suggested other timings, like when you would go before you're going to go out, as soon as you get back from somewhere, when you get out of the car, when you get out of the buggy, any of those kind of changes, just like you or I would think, oh, well, I better go for a wee because I'm going in the car. So there's two things going on really. One is looking for the baby to give signals. So at the very beginning I spent a couple of days with her without her nappy on, with lots of kind of plastic sheeting around. So again, she was about 3 months old when we were doing that, and I kept a little notebook that couple of days every time she did a wee, and if there were any signals or what kind of timing there was. And she did about 15 wees in that day, so pretty hard to keep track of. At the time I did think I saw some little signals. She seemed to be sort of stroking her hip a little bit at that time, but I never really felt that I'd seen signals around wee, and I still don't really know. But over the course of the last year, she's obviously changed a lot and started to communicate a lot more. The other side of it is the cueing and the associations that you can encourage the baby to make. So once they start realising that that's what you're expecting to happen is, you know, little tiny baby in this position, and I did start sitting her on a potty and holding her on the potty quite early on and saying psst, and then she does a pee, and every time you do that it becomes reinforced. And for her, we realised as well it was the sensation of the plastic bowl that we were using. So we went away on holiday when she was about 4 months old, and we hadn't taken anything with us, but we found a plastic bowl to use in the place where we were staying, and we were holding her over it and we weren't really getting anything. And then one time we tried it and her legs, the back of her legs kind of touched the back of the bowl, And then she started to go, and we thought, oh yeah, because she's used to feeling that sensation around this time. With the poos, it was fantastic because she started pooing around 4 months into the bowl and into the potties that we then bought. And she just didn't poo in a nappy again until fairly recently. She's just had a little bit of a change going on where she has been pooing in her nappy, and none of us can figure out why, but it could be to do with her walking, because obviously with all developmental things they're going to interfere with other things that are going on. But really, having had, that's about a year of not having pooey nappies, has been fantastic.